Hey crew, the gameplay you're watching is me completing the first encounter of the Duality Dungeon solo and flawless. I wanted a good way to test this build, so I wanted a challenge, and man, as you can see, it went above and beyond, and I'm here to tell you that the return of Blade Barrage has happened. It's literally been since Forsaken that I've used Blade Barrage this much, and the melee fan of knives, and it just feels so good and rewarding to be able to do this pretty dang easily. So if you haven't tried this, well, get ready because you will find it hard to switch off this build once you give it a shot. Now, if you set up the build the way I have it and execute your gameplay loop, you're unkillable, have the best DPS super in the game, and always have one available because we get it insanely fast. I'm talking like 10 kills fast, which is crazy. Along with unlimited throwing knives and our dodge, so you can run whatever weapons that helps you in the certain activity you're playing. Now, I know the first question I'm gonna get down in the comments is, what about Star Eater Scales, the exotic that makes the super do a ton of DPS? Well, I tested a bunch of exotics with this setup, and yes, I know the damage you get with Star Eaters, but in most situations, you don't need such high burst DPS. And when you're using Star Eater Scales, it takes longer to get your super than it does with the setup that I'm using. And I'm going for consistency with this build and what makes it play and feel the best. And Star Eaters are great, don't get me wrong, but I would rather have my super way more, and I mean way more often with my setup than I do with Star Eater Scales. But feel free to switch things up if you want. There is definitely no one size fits all, and I believe Destiny should be played the way you enjoy it the most, even if that means it might not be the most optimal way and someone gives you a bit of crap for it. I don't care. Play the game the way you want to play the game. So you can trade out the exotic with this build pretty easily because everything flows so smoothly. It's just you might change a few mods around if you're going with Star Eater Scales instead. The only thing else I would suggest for weapons is use something with Incandescent because that just adds to the build. Incandescent is a new perk this season. You can get it on Drang or you can get it on the Might Up mini tool, and it really helps because it causes burn damage to enemies, right? It scorches enemies, and that feeds into our ability gameplay loop and all that good stuff, and it's just a really fun perk to use. If you guys want to see me do a separate whole video on just this perk, let me know and I'll do it, because you're really missing out if you're not using this perk with solar subclasses and tying it into it. Thank you so much to everyone that has become members of the channel and chosen to support me in that extra way. I really appreciate it, and thank you guys all for watching the last couple of videos. They've been doing very well, and the feedback on all the builds have been absolutely awesome. So I'm glad they're making such a big difference for you guys and helping out in the long run. And if you guys want to become a member, make sure to hit that join button. So we're over here on the Gunslinger Solar 3.0 subclass, and we're going to be using Blade Barrage. Obviously, this is a Blade Barrage build, and it does some awesome damage, so you guys will enjoy it. Make sure to be using Gambler's Dodge. You dodge near an enemy, we get that full melee ability back. I use Triple Jump, use whatever you're most comfortable with. We're going to take advantage of Knife Trick here, throw a fan of flaming knives that scorch targets on hit. Scorch just leaves a burning effect, and it stacks. And then I'm using Solar Grenade, use whatever grenade you want with this build. Your two aspects over here, knock them down. This is doing two things for us. One, for Blade Barrage, it launches more projectiles, so we're throwing out a bunch more projectiles for Blade Barrage, which is increasing that damage. That's why it's one of the best damage supers in the game. And then we also have down here at the bottom, while Radiant, final blows with your equipped throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. This is important because we're just going to chain back and forth our melees, and we just have to make sure that we're Radiant, and we're going to make Radiant last longer. We have Gunpowder Gamble as our second one. This is just throwing the big old Gunpowder Gamble out. Now, I tried this with the other aspect just to get the 2 extra fragment slots. But for me, personally, Gunpowder Gamble is very, very nice. It clears a room of ads so easily. Does some 30, 40k damage to high health targets. So my playtesting with both of them, I found this one to be much better with the build and add that much more damage and potency to it. For the fragments, we're using Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. We're scorching targets with our fan of knives, and we always want to have our class ability available because that's going to be our healing and it's going to be our melee if we need it. And then we also have Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. So you're becoming radiant for a 25% weapon damage buff, and all your allies next to you are becoming radiant as well. We're going to make this last longer with Ember of Solace. Radiant and Restoration effects applied to you have increased duration. We're going to be using Restoration in the mods with the build, but basically Radiant goes up to 15 seconds, Restoration goes up to about 11 or 12 seconds. So a very nice fragment, and it just adds to the ease of use of this build. So we're always Radiant and doing a ton of damage. right? We always have our melee up and throwing it. We're getting our super back very fast. That's kind of the whole subclass setup. Now for weapons, I went over incandescent already earlier in the video. So I've been using the heck out of this string. Almost 1,500 kills in it already. Been really enjoying it. And I use Lament within the gameplay just because I needed that damage against the boss there. Now for your helmet, double stack hands on. This is going to get your super back so fast because we always have our melee. I'm not joking, you need like 10 to 12 kills to get your super back when you get a nice Blade Barrage super off. So very nice. I have Seeking Wells on here, so the solar wells we create seek to me. I don't necessarily have to go pick them up. You can trade this out if you want. Maybe you could put something like Elemental Charge, so you become charged with light and then spend that charge of light. Maybe if you're using a sword on like Lucent Blade, right? Use Lucent Blade for that damage sword buff if you want to go something that way, but Seeking Wells is just a quality of life for this build. Our exotic here is Shards of Galanor. The perk here is Sharp Edges. Hits and kills with Blade Barrage will return super energy after the super ends. You can pretty much consistently get 50% of your super back now as long as you're hitting 3 or 4 targets. And since it's so much better tracking wise and you throw out more blades, they're just landing a lot easier right now, and so it's so much better. So 50% super right off the bat always, and then we're tying that in with the hands-on and always having the melee to get it back super fast. Now you want to have your dodge because that's going to be our healing, and just in case you miss a throwing knife, right? If you miss a throwing knife, you want to be able to get it back by dodging next to an enemy. So we're running double focusing strike here. It grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee attack, and then we also have melee Wellmaker. That's how we're going to make our wells within the build. For our chest piece here, we have Font of Might, so we're getting a 25% weapon damage buff on all our solar weapons. And then we're double stacking Armor of the Dying Star just to get that 40% damage reduction for incoming solar and void damage. If you only have one of these on, you get 25% damage reduction. On our boots, we have another melee Wellmaker, so now we have 2 melee Wellmakers. And then on our class item, we have Bountiful Wells. So every time that we throw our melee and we get a kill, there's 3 solar wells popping out. Yes, I know we only have 2 well makers on, but Bountiful Wells creates a 3rd one, just how it works. I know the wording's different, but we're creating 3 wells. Those 3 wells are feeding back into that class ability and back to getting our grenade back faster, different things like that. But it's just a nice thing just in case, you know, you're not proccing stuff properly. Well, just get the melee kill, grab the 3 wells, you basically have your dodge back. So it's easy that way. We also have Bomber, so we get our grenade back while we're dodging, and we're always dodging next to enemies. And then Classy Restoration from the artifact. Activating your solar class abilities grants you Restoration. This is a ×2 healing. Basically, as you can see, you can out-heal any damage in the game. You could even take this into harder content, and I've showed that before already, but I wanted to show it in the solo dungeon like that. You are out healing all that damage you're taking, and you just need to make sure that you have that dodge every 12 seconds because that's how long our Classy Restoration, our ×2, you know, is proccing our restoration. So we need to have that dodge up, and that's why we're speccing so much into dodge with Focusing Strike, with wells that we're creating and picking up, all that good stuff. And then we are burning targets, right, and getting our class ability back faster. So many different ways that we're doing it. That way you always have that class ability up. If your health hits that red anywhere and you get low, bam, dodge, instant full heal, and you can get that dodge back so fast with the way we have it set up. So literally, I'm talking like, you know, 3 or 4 seconds later, you'll have a dodge. So you always have that ability to heal when you need to heal, and it lasts for 12 seconds. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Blade Barrage has been a blast. It's a great change, and I really enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. Let me know what you see, what kind of video you want to see in the next one. Maybe a melee build for the Titan with the new, you know, melee on that. Or you can see what I did the Master Clear dungeon on, what build we ran with that. So kind of up to you guys. Let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video.